Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94 here, back with another reaction video. Today, we're finna react to 14 great cartoons that had horrifying endings. This should be an interesting video. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
Today, we have a list of 14 legendary cartoons that literally defined our childhood. We grew up on these cartoons, and they continue to leave a mark. But, you know, even though these cartoons had a legacy of their own, the endings we received from them weren't all that satisfying at all. Sometimes the main characters didn't receive a proper send-off. So, we are left without getting any closure. I know you have to be wondering which cartoons I'm talking about, so let's go check them out.
Titans, go!
The OG Teen Titans.
Teen Titans, 2003 to 2006. While growing up, Teen Titans was my all-time favorite superhero cartoon. Come to think of it, you just can't find another perfect cartoon like this one. All right, I might be biased, but it's...
Nah, bro, the Amazing Batman. The Batman the Animated Series is the best superhero show ever made. Period. Cartoon, I should say. Batman Animated Series is #1, hands down. Then after that, you can go X-Men, Justice League, then Teen Titans, and then me personally, I'm going with the 1994 Spider-Man, Spooderman. But yeah, I digress. And then you can put Teen Titans in Static Shock. Yeah.
Packed with action, and at the same time, it captures that slice of life feeling that you get from sitcoms. Because what do you mean I'm watching 5 teenage superheroes, Robin, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Starfire, and Raven, live in a T-shaped tower on the edge of Jump City, trying to figure out how to be roommates while they save the world? In one episode, you're probably watching an extremely dark arc about Raven's demonic heritage, and in the very next episode, you watch them argue about a waffle iron, and somehow they manage to put everything together in 22 minutes. Sounds absolutely amazing, right? It was amazing until the final episode, called Things Change, actually changed everything. I can't forget that episode, man. It was like a punch to the gut. All the other Titans were fighting some shape-shifting monsters, but Beast Boy ran into a girl who looked exactly like Terra. Remember the girl who betrayed them and sacrificed herself to save the city back in season 2? The entire episode, he tried to remind her who she was, but she was in full denial mode. You'll be convinced that she actually forgot and chose this life, but no. Right at the end, she looked Beast Boy dead in the eyes and said she would never be the girl he remembers because things change. And that's where it ends. We get no explanation whatsoever. No closure at all. An open end.
As a kid, I always thought there was like a darker meaning to this ending, but over time, yeah, this is definitely one of the most unsatisfying, terrible endings to such a great show.
Left for the fans to interpret, which is frustrating. Look, the episode's not inherently bad. It was loaded with emotions, but the problem is it could have been the beginning of an arc or the start of a new season. Instead, we got this as the ending. We did get Teen Titans Go after that, but it killed the hopes of the fans even more because it was nothing like Teen Titans. It's more disheartening because the fans never heard anything back from the creators of the cartoon. The network just randomly decided to stop its production, and that's how one of the perfect superhero cartoons got one of the worst endings.
Well, Samurai Jack eventually got his
2001 to 2017. I can beg Samurai Jack to be the most visually stunning cartoon on Cartoon Network. Director Genndy Tatarovsky really made something amazing. The show's about a young samurai prince who basically gets teleported to a scary dystopian future by the demon sorcerer Aku. Jack tries the entire series to find a way back to the past, to stop Aku from ever taking over. The original show didn't even get a real ending in 2004. Tatarovsky actually had a few episodes in his hands, but he chose not to rush and left an open ending. Fast forward 13 years, and Adult Swim brought it back for a final season, which I have to say was really dark. So this episode, called C1, shows that Jack finally goes back in time and destroys Aku for good, along with Ashi, who was Aku's daughter. But Jack fell in love with Ashi and they became allies. So he was close to getting his happy ending by marrying her. However, at the altar, Ashi is suddenly faded out of existence because Aku's destruction meant Ashi was never even born. My goodness, that ending caused me some serious emotional damage. But some fans are still mad at the ending because they think the couple only knew each other for a handful of episodes, and they got treated as the emotional core of the entire finale. Now that's up for controversy, but Tatarovsky mentioned, "I feel like we would be cheating if everything was happy and perfect at the end. It didn't feel right." Also, the head writer Derek Bachman said, "We knew from the beginning it was going to be a tragedy. Jack's journey is one of sacrifice." Just to give him this fairy tale ending after 50 years of suffering didn't ring true to the character or his mythology. So I feel this tragic ending was written into Jack's fate.
It was sad, but it was necessary.
Danny Phantom, 2004 to 2007.
I don't remember this one.
Butch Hartman very skillfully made a superhero show with actual stakes in it, but he also kept the jokes coming one after another.
I actually forgot about Danny Phantom's ending. I forgot about it. If he reminds me, then it'll come back to me.
Which balanced the show. So
that just goes to show you, I ain't watched this show in years. I haven't watched this show since it was on television. After it wrapped up, they stopped airing episodes of it.
Danny here is just a normal teenager, but a lab accident makes him a half ghost. From that moment, he was juggling his homework while fighting some really evil ghosts, like Vlad, his arch nemesis, Skulker, Technus, etc. The best part is you get a little bit of everything from this show, like friendships, villains, and the comedy factor we talked about earlier. The finale was a 2-part TV movie called Phantom Planet, and they tried to at least put 4 seasons worth of plot into 44 minutes. So basically what happened was Vlad, the villain, tried to imitate Danny with his own team of teen ghost hunters, but Danny sacrificed his ghost powers to protect his parents who got arrested. And as he was left with no powers to protect himself, his friends got mad at him because he wasn't careful. And then to make matters worse, an asteroid showed up to destroy the Earth. My God, dude, seriously? Talk about bad timing. So in that moment, Danny practically begged his ghost enemies for help. Well, his prayers were heard when he was blasted with enough ghost energy to save the planet. That event also exposed his true identity to everyone, and everyone celebrated him as a hero. Mind you, he also spent a romantic sunset moment with Sam. Whew, it was a lot to take in a single movie. And that's exactly why it didn't work.
It's all coming back to me,
and everything ended up feeling like a hodgepodge. When asked about the ending, Butch Hartman shared this in a podcast. The guys who picked up Danny Phantom went off to do some other things, so the new regime that comes in at Nickelodeon doesn't like Danny Phantom, which started the politics, and I really had to fight for this. So that does explain the very rushed ending of Danny Phantom, because it wasn't even meant to end that early.
I never finished Gargoyle. Sadly, I never finished Gargoyle. It's a good show. Great show. I just never finished it.
1994 to 1997. Anyone who says cartoons are for kids, Gargoyles proves every single one of them wrong. Greg Weisman was heavily inspired by Shakespeare's dramas, and he adapted the stories and also quoted Shakespeare several times throughout the animated series. So what happens here is that for 1,000 years, the gargoyles get magically frozen as stone statues. Then when they wake up in a modern-day Manhattan, the world starts to fear and misunderstand them. So first, they have to figure out how to exist in that world. They also have a very complicated relationship with the human detective Elisa Maza. The plot was absolutely amazing, showing morally complex stories, mythologies, and character development of the gargoyles was equally amazing. However, in the last episode, Angels in the Night, was where things collapsed. The gargoyles had to face off against the Quarrymen, who are an anti-gargoyle hate group. The Quarrymen threatened to kill the entire train of innocent people to go against 2 gargoyles. Naturally, the gargoyles stopped them, and the humans instantly accepted them. Not gonna lie, it felt very rushed and shallow, and it totally ruined the tension that built up in the first 2 seasons. And it all happened because the show was suddenly moved from syndication to ABC's Saturday morning lineup. So basically the entire creative team was replaced and creator Greg Weisman was demoted to a consultant. That means his suggestions in plain terms were simply ignored. That's seriously frustrating. Weisman didn't even sugarcoat the matter. In a CBC interview, he said, "I don't view the Goliath Chronicles as canon to the series. I hate to see these great shows always having a rushed ending and ruining their finale.
No matter what the eon, Darkwing Duck must fight for justice."
Darkwing Duck is cool, but I never finished the show.
I am the terror that flaps in the night. If you know, you know. Darkwing Duck was a spin-off of DuckTales, and it's about my personal favorite duck detective, Drake Mallard. But that's just his cover. At night, he became Darkwing Duck, the masked vigilante who protected the city of St. Canard, with his adopted daughter Goslin and his pilot buddy Launchpad. This show seriously had some fun villains, like Negaduck and the Fearsome Five. Everything was going well, but as you know, good things must end. The final episode, Extinct Possibility, that aired, showed Darkwing investigating a 70-million-year-old piece of amber that looked like him. He time travels to the past and gets stuck there as Launchpad and Goslin were sent back to the present. So in that past, he accidentally gets covered in tree sap, which hardened into the same amber that was displayed in the museum. It means he had to spend 70 million years frozen in that amber. At last, in the present, Launchpad and Goslin broke him free from the amber. Now you have to be wondering, what's wrong? It's a good episode. It's great, yeah, but also wasn't meant to be the end of the show. After this episode, no other episode aired, which didn't give proper closure to many of the plot lines. According to sources, Tad Stones shared that the series was not abruptly canceled, rather it stopped airing because their 91-episode contract with Disney came to an end. I feel like we weren't really prepared for the ending, but it was definitely good while it lasted.
Well, y'all should have prepared for it.
2005 to 2014. It was based on Aaron McGrew's comic strip.
Season 4 don't exist. I don't know what you talking about, bro. When y'all talk about season 4, that shit don't exist. Stop lying. Y'all gotta quit lying. Stop lying.
Stop lying! Stop lying! Stop lying! Stop!
Stop lying. Season 4 never existed, bro. Okay? Season 4 never existed, bro. It had 3 seasons, and then they said it was a 4th one, but it don't exist, bro. Yeah. That season 4 don't exist, my nigga. We don't even talk about that.
Which showed the lives of 2 characters, Huey and Riley Freeman, who lived with their grandfather. These 2 boys are probably the most badass kids I've ever seen. Their grandfather moves them from Chicago to the peaceful suburbs of Woodcrest. Huey, being a 10-year-old, was very intelligent and was a deeply cynical revolutionary, whereas his 8-year-old brother Riley was chasing a gangster fantasy that wasn't really tolerated in the suburbs they moved to. Even though these 2 brothers sound like they're polar opposites, they still share a special bond with each other despite their differences. What made this cartoon special for me is how they very cleverly use humor to call out racism, politics, celebrity culture, and many more societal flaws and system hypocrisy. That storytelling really paid off because it earned them a Peabody Award. For most fans, Boondocks came to an end with Season 3 in 2010. With the last episode, It's Going Down, because creator Aaron McGruder said that Season 3 was intended as the final season. However, 4 years later, Adult Swim still brought the Boondocks back for a 4th season. As usual, Sony Pictures Television and McGruder couldn't reach an agreement, so the entire final season was made completely without him or longtime producer Carl Jones. That season ended with The New Black, but a huge chunk of the fan base doesn't even count it as an ending. And you seriously can't blame him here because the voice, the politics, the specific comedy factor that made the show what it was just wasn't there anymore. The moment Magruder walked away from the project, his absence was immediately felt. He himself mentioned that Boondocks was his life work, and that it was always made with a keen sense of duty, history, culture, and love, adding that anything less would have been simply unacceptable, which gives us a pretty clear picture about how he felt about the 4th season. Johnny Bravo, 1997 to 2004. Okay, now it's time to talk about the Johnny Bravo. His blonde pompadour hairstyle and Elvis Presley-inspired voice were just iconic. Also, the black shades and that skin-tight black tee made bro a solid penalty.
I haven't watched Johnny Bravo in years, so not even years, decades. I ain't watched Johnny Bravo in decades, so I don't even remember how this show ended.
Seriously, nobody hyped up Johnny Bravo more than he did. He was convinced.
I know there was an episode where there was like a movie or something like that. It was like a movie or something like that, or a special episode that was like tailored towards how Johnny became Johnny, like how he went from skinny to big and muscular.
That every woman was in love with him, and he still pursued them after facing rejection for the 100th time. I
don't
guess
know
being
if
a
that was the
narcissist
one.
was part of his charm, and it low-key made him funny. The humor in the show was peak entertainment. Seriously, only Johnny could be so confidently stupid, apart from Joey Tribbiani. I still can't believe they didn't get a proper send-off for Johnny. In the final episode, back on Shaq, he just became Shaquille O'Neal's good luck charm. Until the very end, luck was never on his side when it came to romance. Forget romance, he wasn't ever even given a meaningful character moment. It felt like another usual celebrity cameo episode. And sadly, we never even heard back anything from the creators about it. It's disappointing because an iconic character like Johnny Bravo deserved a better ending than this. Clash of the Titans, 2005 to 2008.
I never watched
Another
this.
amazing show which took the concept of gods and monsters and dropped it straight into a Canadian high school. So there are these Jay, Atlanta, Harry, Archie, Teresa, Odie, and Neil, and each one of them has secretly descended from a Greek hero. These teens get recruited by Hera and Zeus to stop Cronus, the ultimate villain who got out of the Tartarus prison after 4,000 years of imprisonment. And the moment he got out, he was dead set on taking over the world. So the show explores how these teens managed to fight Cronus, and trust me, it's entertaining to watch because it's packed with drama. Moreover, it makes Greek mythology far more interesting than what's taught in the classroom. In the finale, Phantom Rising Part 2, Teresa finally channeled the power of the Olympian gods and took down Cronus for good. But the next second, she turned around and went after Zeus, the king of the gods himself. And that was literally the last thing we saw. We never find out whether she won, lost, or became the next villain. Are you kidding me? You can't end a show with such a cliffhanger. It's a crime. And again, the creators didn't feel like giving any statement on it. So Teresa's fate remains permanently unresolved, and we just have to accept it. American Dragon, Jake Long, 2005 to 2007. Jake Long appears to be like any other Chinese-American teenager in New York, but nah, this boy who's always skateboarding has special abilities to transform into a dragon. He'd sworn to protect all the magical creatures secretly living among humans in the city of Manhattan, with the help of his grandpa, Lao Shi, and 600-year-old Fu Dog. This was basically his life after school. One thing is, I genuinely adore the relationship he had with his grandfather. It was so heartwarming. But in the finale, the Hong Kong Longs, they tried to wrap up basically every incomplete plotline all at once. I mean, literally everything, including Jake's on and off romance with Rose, who used to be a Hutt's clan assassin trained to kill him. The witch, which altered reality so that Rose could never remember her past with him, and a final showdown with a dark dragon. In the end, Jake and Rose could finally reunite. There's nothing disappointing with the ending, but the thing is the creators had already written a third season for the show. But this time, Disney pulled the plug and ruined it. The executive producers, Matt Negri and Eddie Guzlane, confirmed. At that time, Disney had simply decided to end production after 52 episodes. So the finale had to...
So you didn't even reach the 65 limit. That's crazy. Because normally with Disney, they normally say 65 is where they stop you. They'll stop you at 65. They don't give a fuck. They said, boy, y'all better plan ahead, because once you reach number 65, once you reach that magical number of 65, we stopping all production. We ain't carrying on your show. Fuck you. That's their way. And the only reason why Disney did that is because they didn't want shows to go into syndication, because if Disney shows go into syndication, they don't want to see other shows popping up on on other platforms. So they wouldn't want to see something like fucking what's a Disney show? They wouldn't want to see something like fucking Phineas. Well, I don't know about Phineas and Ferb. I think Phineas and Ferb actually did reach 100 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. They wouldn't want to see something like Kim Possible or fucking Proud Family or That's So Raven. They wouldn't want to see them shows end up on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network. Or somewhere else where it'd be out of their control, and they'd be like, damn, the show went into syndication, so damn, anybody can just put money up and get it.
Function as a series ender, even though it was written as a season ender. It looks like peace was never an option for the fans. Getting a satisfying finale is harder than you think. What have I done? The Fairly Odd Parents, 2001 to 2017. The show's about a young boy named Timmy.
The show was supposed to end back in 06? The show was supposed to end back in 06, 07, bro. And then they just kept going and draining it and draining it and draining it till there was nothing left. Then they made a fire ass reboot, but it got fucking leaked before it came out. So basically, they just ruined that show. They just ruined that franchise, bro.
Turner. This poor boy has neglectful parents, and on top of that, his babysitter also bullies him. As he was suffering with misery, he's assigned to two fairy godparents, Cosmo and Wanda, who grant all his wishes. I mean, finally, something good happened to this kid, but let's say he sucks at making good wishes and handling them responsibly. That's exactly why it always ends in chaos. It ran for an entire decade, but nobody ever got tired of it because it was entertaining how everything Timmy wished for went wrong. Plus, the emotional hook was there, where a lonely kid just wanted to be seen. You know, Fairly Odd Parents was based on this rule that once kids grow up or stop believing in magic, they lose their fairies. So it meant the whole show was like a ticking clock. The day Timmy grows up to believe magic doesn't exist, he'll lose his godparents. But the finale was a huge disappointment because Fancy Schmancy completely ignored that aspect. It was just a normal episode about Timmy's friend Chloe getting pulled away by her feuding parents. They never showed what happened to Cosmo and Wanda or Timmy's inevitable goodbye to his godparents. Back in 2018, creator Butch Hartman only announced that he had parted ways with Nickelodeon, and right after that, the cancellation of the show was confirmed. Apart from that, nobody ever said a single word about the ending. The ending had really good potential, but sadly the show also became another victim of cancellation.
Karate!
Star versus the Forces of Evil, 2015 to 2019. Star Butterfly is a magical princess who is gifted a magical wand on her 14th birthday, but she felt she wasn't ready for the wand or for the responsibility that came with it. But her parents weren't at all happy with her response, so they deported her to Earth, where magic didn't really exist, to teach her a lesson. Moreover, she had to stay with a human family who would help guide her. So she joins the Diaz family and becomes Marco Diaz, who is an anxious kid and follows every single rule. It started off as a silly fantasy drama with a lot of monster fighting scenes, but then the show slowly took a serious turn, showing political interests, generational trauma, and the whole mythology about magic itself. However, throughout the show, the humor was intact. In the finale, Cleaved, Star realized there was only one way to stop the villain, Mina Loveberry, and that was by destroying every form of magic in the entire multiverse by using the Whispering spell. She did exactly that, and it worked, but it also meant that all the magical characters of the show and their lore, which was built up over the years, got wiped out of existence. Moreover, Earth and Muni got physically fused into one dimension as a side effect. To be honest, Star's main motivation in that moment wasn't really about the greater good either. She also wanted to make sure she got to stay with Marco. So the episode ends with the two of them just walking up to each other and smiling as the credits roll. Now for some, that's a sweet, lovely ending. But for some, it felt like the hero committing a magic genocide and getting away with it because of a crush. Moreover, what happens to Mina's fate and what actually takes place in the merged dimension are left completely unanswered. It's disappointing because a show with such a detailed and layered magic system ended by just deleting the whole system, which seriously felt like the entire thing was pointless to begin with.
Hey. The greatest fucking ending of all time, bro. They had one of the greatest last shows ever to fucking exist, bro. That special where they ended off Codename Kids Next Door, fire. To this day, that's what I'll put it up there with Ed and Eddie's final episode or final special. I put it right up there with that, bro. You can, bro. I'm a kid. I'm a Cartoon Network kid, bro. Cartoon Network was just putting out heat, bro. I don't care what y'all say.
In Kids Next Door, 2002 to 2008. K&D was literally about a global organization of children who were below the age of 12, and their job was to protect young kids from the tyrannical adults. It mainly constituted a small but feisty army of 5 children who lived in a treehouse fortress that was completely hidden away from adults so they couldn't mess with it. They were armed with soda can bazookas and fought every disturbing adult, teenager, and captivity-living dentist to protect every kid's childhood. They also used special 2x4 technology. Basically, all the weapons and vehicles they used were made from everyday household items. It's ridiculous, but in the best way possible, and it's super interesting how they came up with all the gadgets. However, it also had a surprisingly bittersweet core that every kid who operated in K&D knew that at 13 they would get decommissioned, meaning they would lose all memory of their K&D life. The last actual episode, Operation Treaty, that aired had a fairly low-stakes story about signing a truce between the K&D and the teens, which turned out to be a trap. It was really fine as a regular episode, but the issue is it came right after the show had already delivered an episode that felt like it was the true emotional finale. In the earlier season, episode Operation Interviews dropped, where all the operatives were interviewed as grown, decommissioned adults about the mysterious disappearance of their leader, Number One. This episode has a fan base of its own for how good it was. It was the perfect finale. But then the show got another season, and the actual final episode that aired afterwards was comparatively forgettable. So fans were basically left with a series finale that wasn't nearly as satisfying as the finale that came before it. Transformers Animated, 2007 to 2009. It's all about the Autobots versus Decepticons war. These two teams were always involved in some kind of battle. And
this was a good ass show.
Team Autobots were the protectors of Detroit, who were led by...
This was a good ass show. This was the only sad part was it came out around the time I was kind of like phasing out cartoons because I was getting older. This came out around like 2007. But I want to say like early to mid 2009. I just stopped watching cartoons. I ain't gonna even hold you, bro. Somewhere around like March or April of 2009, I just stopped watching cartoons. It just stopped. It wasn't piquing my interest no more. I was just watching wrestling and basketball. I was just watching wrestling, basketball, and
That nigga is watching porn. Nah, don't turn your phone down. You watching porn.
I was like, yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
That's up.
Optimus Prime, and they even had a little girl named Sari as their friend who helped the Autobots in any way possible. I love how the show is very character-driven and well...
But this was definitely a good show, though. Once I stopped watching cartoons, I just didn't care no more.
Balanced in the emotional arcs, like Optimus dealing with his past failures, Sari slowly realizing that she's not entirely human, and many more instances like this. But then they also didn't forget the humor and to keep things from getting too serious. In the finale, Endgame Part 2, Optimus Prime finally defeated Megatron with the Magnus Hammer. However, the Ninjabot Prowl sacrificed his spark to restore the shattered Allspark and save Detroit. But we lost Prowl in the process, and I wasn't prepared for that kind of heartbreak in the finale. Even though the Autobots captured the remaining Decepticons and returned as heroes, they couldn't celebrate the win because of the loss of Prowl. But the show had clearly been building toward a 4th season, which never happened. There were many things left unanswered after the finale, like Sari's true nature as a techno-organic being and what was waiting for her in the future. Later, the interviews revealed that they had an entire season 4 planned out with characters and even Wise mentor character who was meant to be voiced by the original Optimus Prime actor Peter Cullen, but it never got made, which is a waste of potential. Even though we heard nothing from the creators, the lead character designer Derek J. Wyatt talked about the unproduced season 4 concepts at fan conventions over the years, which proves we could have had another season, but we weren't lucky enough for that to happen.
Chill out, kids. We're gonna burn those bots.
Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, 1993.
I had the DVD and the VHS set for this show, bro. Y'all don't understand, bro. Sonic the Hedgehog was my first ever video game, bro. My first ever video game was Sonic the Hedgehog, bro. That was my introduction to video games. So like when it comes to this show and Sonic X, these were this. I'm gonna be a Sonic the Hedgehog fan for life, bro. Forever. Sonic the Hedgehog forever, my nigga.
Oh, we've already reached the last show on our list. And it follows the usual deal with a blue hedgehog named Sonic who can run at super fast speeds and his best friend, a two-tailed flying fox called Tails. These two besties protect the planet Mobius from the evil Dr. Robotnik. It often feels like watching a Looney Tunes episode, especially when you see Sonic run in circles. There's nothing deep in the plot. It's fast-paced, funny, and you'll have a good laugh for sure. It's just pure vibes. And it doesn't really have a finale exactly. They just aired another regular episode, Hero of the Year, in December 1993, and it just turned out to be the last one. It was another cartoon which was never even built with an ending in mind in the first place. Neither did they defeat Robotnik for good, nor did they bid goodbye to Tails. Years later, a Christmas special episode aired in 1996, but the actual series just quietly stopped airing mid-run, like many other syndicated cartoons did in the 90s. And with that, we've come to the end of our video. Let us know in the comments below what you think of the endings of these cartoons. Before you leave, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe.
Alrighty, man, that's just gonna about do it for this one, most definitely. Some of these I remember, some of them I don't. Man, but shout out to Sonic the Hedgehog, though. That's gonna be forever my goal, bruh. Most definitely, man. But anyway, so, yeah, I'm gonna see y'all the next video. Till then, deuces.